So good morning. I'm here today with Amy Gold, owner of Splat Training. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning.
Hi. Got a few questions for you, which I hope we can generate a few interest for our viewers and readers. I was going through your website recently and noticed that some of your training courses are very, very interesting, very niche. Well, can you please introduce us to Splat Training and to some of these courses, please?
Okay, so Splat Training, we're 7 years old this month, so we've been going for 7 years, and we do some quite niche stuff, but we do some quite general stuff as well. So the core of the business is really about first aid training, which is the sort of general stuff. People generally understand what first aid training is, and there's an off-the-peg accredited course that we deliver. We can go into businesses, they can come to us. We run open courses or closed courses, any which way people want to do it. So that's the kind of first aid training. And what I really like to do with the first aid training is, well, while I describe it as an off the peg course, I very much pride myself on making it fit the particular client at the time. So we do talk about scenarios that work for the particular client. So if we're going into a business and they're a manufacturer, then we'll go and have a look at their actual site and make sure it all fits, work through scenarios that work for their site specifically, designed by them, and make sure that their first aiders are ready to deal with first aid on that site. And I'm really, really keen about that, rather than just superimposing it on the same course onto everybody. So that's one of the things that we do. I suppose the niche bit that you were talking about might be the Yorkshire Teambuilding element. So the first aid bit is the sensible bit that, you know, I knew that I could rely upon getting that sorted. And then once we'd been in business for about 3 years, I'd had this idea ticking around in the back of my mind for quite some time about team building. I have as a family farm, and I run the classroom, the first aid courses on the farm in a classroom. And one day I was looking out in the fields, and there's about 5 farm lads out there wrangling these sheep. It's quite hilarious, really. They're trying to get the sheep into this paddock, and they're all swearing and shouting and, you know, pushing and shoving, and it looks really ungraceful and like comedic. So I thought to myself, come on lads, I'm sure there's a better way. I'm sure if you kind of got together and made a plan about this and thought about it, you could really make this work much more easily and be less stressful for everybody. So that was, I guess, where the idea was sort of spawned. And then a couple of years after that moment, once I'd got all the Splat first aid, etc., settled in, and I was starting to know what I was doing with all of that stuff when the business was young, I started to set up Yorkshire Teambuilding, which is a corporate team building event with sheep. So we get we get the corporates. It's really lovely to see a group of office staff from the centre of Leeds or Sheffield arrive, and, you know, they're all in. There's one lady came in white leggings. They were not white when the day finished. So, you know, they arrive hopefully in the scruffs. We do a bit of a briefing and a bit of discussion on teamwork and how we expect to interact during the day and things like that. And then basically I let them loose in the fields with the sheep, and I set them various tasks, and they have to get the sheep to do things. And sheep are, I mean, they're well known for following one another. So if you get the leader to do something, then you might manage with the rest of them. But, you know, you have to try. And people say you should never work with children or animals, don't they? So okay. It's always entertaining.
Is this a 1 day long training in the Yorkshire Teambuilding, or?
So it can be done however the client needs it to be, really. It can be done. So we've done it as where the clients come for a meeting. So we've got indoor facilities. It's not a massive conference space, but we've got indoor meeting space with projectors and internet and all of the things that you need. And so they can use that and do some meeting stuff. It's a really lovely venue to do things like overall values stuff, because we're right out in the sticks, right in the fields. We've got beautiful scenery around us. It really takes you away from that sort of submerged in the work minutiae. So it's a really lovely place to do that. So we have half a day of doing things like that. We do catering for people if they need. We'll bring catering in from outside, and so we'll do like a Yorkshire. Have you ever had a Yorkshire burrito?
Yes, I have once.
Oh, there you go. Well, we'll bring a Yorkshire burrito in, or pie and peas, or some sort of hearty Yorkshire meal to go along with the outdoors sort of feeling. And then, so we can do it as a half and half thing. We've also got a training dry stone wall, so that's another activity we can do. Got a brilliant dry stone walling teacher who comes in, and that's a lovely kind of activity for doing mindfulness, for getting really absorbed into the activity, and the rest of the things just sort of fall away, and we can facilitate that around particular aims and objectives that a company might have if they're looking to do something around their mission and values or something like that. So that's a lovely one to do. Or we can just do it. We've done it as a hen do. We've done it as just for fun, so it can be done really however the client needs it. So half a day, a couple of hours, full day. My favourite bit about it, well, no, one of the cherry on the top perhaps is the beer tasting at the end of the day. Okay. So we have a very, very knowledgeable fella comes in and does some beer tasting, sampling local Yorkshire ales. So he'll bring in a few different ones and talk to you about it, brings all the hops in and things like that. And then he can do gin. If you're not into beer, he does Yorkshire gin as well, which works lovely. So yes, so that's kind of the full day, and you can sort of pick bits and bobs of it and make your own package.
I think nowadays organizing bespoke training based on clients' needs, wants, and potentially desires is the name of the game. So because it becomes important and useful, which is fundamental.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it needs to be useful to them. It's a day out of work with all their staff, so it needs to be of value, whether that's just a bit of fun or actually working on something that they're trying to achieve in their business.
I completely agree. Being in the office and working day to day in front of a screen, sometimes you need to take a step backwards and look at the bird's eye view to what's happening. And by just doing just one day, it just makes life much easier. And you actually become more proactive and more productive in the workplace.
Well, I believe so, certainly. I think, sometimes people sort of roll their eyes when you talk about team building, and it just really does depend on how it's delivered, but also on how the team sort of take it on board. Sometimes you get people who are like, why are we even doing this? Well, because it does actually really help to have a break and a bit of downtime together. And now more than ever, I think, given that a lot of teams are working geographically separated now, they're working remotely, they're working from home, and people are getting more and more kind of into their own rut, which is working really well for a lot of companies and is a brilliant thing in many ways. But more than ever, I think we need to come together for a bit of relaxation, a bit of time to perhaps talk about, like you say, that bird's eye view. And I think it's going to be more important than ever with remote working.
Oh, here comes the curveball with regards to your strategies. So we spoke about encouraging businesses, for example, Centre of Leeds, York, Sheffield, etc., to go into the fields. So what are your marketing strategies in order to attract companies and potential clients?
It's a tough one, really. My strategies are we do a lot of networking, so I'm a keen networker, and my belief is that I'm sure you know that it's not about selling to the room, it's about getting those people interested so that they'll talk to their network about it. So for example, with the Northern Affinity that I mentioned to you earlier, we're working on getting them to come as a network so that they get an experience of what it actually is, and creating a buzz. We also do a bit of email marketing, but I'm very keen with all of the things that we do that they're not just bombarding people with nonsense and fluff. It's trying to give people things that are valuable, useful. So we send out little mini team building games that you could run yourself in the workplace, so that you can get into the groove of what we really mean by team building. and what the benefits of it are and things like that. And we send out articles and things like that. So it's all about sort of there's marketing, but with like most people are doing these days, with a little bit of value add, I suppose. And I'm really keen not to just bombard people with nothingness.
Marketing with a conscience.
Yes, that's right. That's the one.
Amy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And anybody interested in learning more, please contact Amy directly, and I'm certain she'll be able to help you out. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks a lot.